That intro music means we are back for the rest of the offseason. Everyone, welcome back to the Best Ball Happy Hour here at 4for4 Football. As always, I'm your host, John Daigle, joined today, first up, by the man who has since had a lot of life changes, now at Matthew Berry's fantasy life, none other than Ian Harditz. Ian, how's it going, buddy?
Great day to be great. Boys, love this show. This is going to be my third underdog draft of the year, and I've done all three of them on live stream. So about as minus EV as you can get. But, about finally getting to the point where I am going to be more comfortable, firing these things off way more often. So great to be here, fellas.
And, of course, we can't have the happy hour. We can't be a trio without Underdog's own Hayden Winks. Hayden, lots of rookie videos going up on the Underdog YouTube video channel as well.
Yeah, I'm in NFL draft mode. I did whip up some Superflex rankings and went over some strategies, so I'm sure we'll get to all that stuff. But all our videos recently has been about like running backs that are going to go in the 5th round.
It's April. It's okay. We're not in a hurry. We're all having a good time here. And we are back for the happy hour because we're back in the best ball streets. I think I ended up doing, it was total 14. So not even many because I joined the big board last second and only did slow drafts. So that's where I'm at right now. Familiar with ADP and everything, but for Superflex, it's an entirely different question. And so, yep. Hayden, I want to kick to you in just a second because I'm going to count it down for everyone joining us now in 3, 2, 1. And let's start with you because strategy, I think, this one's going to feel really quick too, is the most important part of Superflex.
Yeah, so I think that you at least need an anchor quarterback. The quarterback position is so important here. Basically, we took away the third wide receiver spot and turned it into a Superflex. And if you're sliding a wide receiver into your Superflex spot, your team is not going to be good enough. Your Superflex team, if you're winning this tournament, is going to be with quarterbacks. The thing I want to avoid, though, is I think like the quarterback 20, like overall, they're getting drafted too early. So if you're going to hit it early. And if you're not, really wait until the quarterback panic is what I call it. Like people that are afraid that they're going to be priced out of the position. I want to avoid that.
Ian, any thoughts? Have you looked at Superflex? I'm going to share a different screen too.
No, and I also missed this draft, so I'm in the next one. So we're about to have a wild hour, boys. But this usually happens a couple times a season. Might as well get into it. So
people were so excited. There were 11 slots already filled.
That's all right. That's all right. With the Superflex, I mean, I haven't really dove into this year specifically more so with it, but, I think everything Hayden's saying is right. And just generally, some of the research I have done this offseason already, like we've been so much better at nailing the top 6 quarterbacks in terms of ADP and how they finish. After that, I mean, the back half of the QB1, that's where, the Jared Goffs, the Geno Smiths and stuff are more likely to come out of nowhere. So, yeah, I do think it's reasonable for, the true dual threat aliens to be priced up there at the top. But if you, can't get the top 5, 6, maybe 7 guys this year, I do think you're better off getting some more, elite pass catchers. And just so I could ruin our entire pick here, there we go. Okay. And then wait till the very end of it.
I personally have Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen, but
Same.
But we can get Jalen Hurts at 102, 103, 101. We're still rarely going to get Josh Allen in this tournament, so I'm just taking him for portfolio exposure.
Fair enough.
Especially after they didn't outlaw the tush push. I still hate that freaking name. So let's work on that. And I don't think it should have been outlawed either. But
no, it was such a recency bias reaction. Like 4 of his 15 touchdowns in the regular season, rushing touchdowns for Hurts, came from the tush push. And they only came in 2 games. He scored 2 in 2 games. Like it was such we saw this in the playoffs. So now we're getting rid of it when every team can do it. And not only that, every team should sign a fat quarterback to do it for them. Take Mahomes off the field, put in Blake Bell, put in Carson Wentz, and let him do the sneak instead.
What?
I mean, that's the only way he's going to get a job nowadays, so you might as well.
This is why I want Anthony Richardson to the Colts, because I know Shane Steichen is going to do that with Anthony Richardson. So I'm hoping for that right now.
So real question here, because my first mock will be up on the site on Monday, and I barked at you a little bit on this, just jokingly. I think it was late at night, which usually means I've had a few old fashions and I start barking. Have you heard hard intel about the Colts wanting a quarterback? Because I think logically that's where everyone's going, but I really honestly haven't heard much. And I'm still under the assumption that Chris Ballard has to be scared to take a rookie quarterback because it's not necessarily regime change. It was just a coaching change.
Yeah, well, at the combine during his interview, he said that we don't have to trade up to get the franchise quarterback that we want, which is like somewhat implying that he's getting a franchise quarterback. I mean, it's Gardner Minshew and Nick Foles right now. So like they're not obviously re-signing Carson Wentz. Like who else is available? Teddy Bridgewater, they're not going to do that. So
You're giving up on Sam Ellinger, bro?
I am. I'm willing to do that. Yeah, just draft Anthony Richardson and tell Shane Steichen to turn him into Jalen Hurts.
Also, for Superflex strategy, you mentioned it, Hayden, chasing who we perceive to be elite quarterbacks rather than going for someone, even beginning after the big four, the big five, whatever you want to call the quarterback tiers, rather than going for someone like a Christian McCaffrey, like a Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase, a Cooper Kupp, who we think could actually win their position overall. And so I honestly, curious to get your thoughts on this, I honestly think like before Herbert, right? So we have these three and then Fields. I don't include Burrow in the big four. I think then we should start taking Jefferson, McCaffrey, Kupp, Kelsey, rather than chasing QB1, trying to make up for the top half of quarterbacks.
Yeah. So the one thing I'm trying to consider is if you get Justin Jefferson, is there still a chance that you're going to be able to get Kirk Cousins out there? Because I still think that if Justin Jefferson pops off, you're probably going to want Kirk Cousins as well. So that's kind of one of the interesting dynamics about you need to stack to win still. So if you're drafting the wide receivers and their quarterbacks are going to be gone, now it's going to be harder for you to stack your team correctly. And we know that stacking works here. So my rankings, I have top 6 players are the quarterbacks. Then I have Justin Jefferson, then Herbert and Lawrence. And then I start getting into like the little wide receiver run here. So I think you are at a disadvantage going quarterback from the back. But if you still can draft the premier pass catchers from those teams, then I think that you still have a path to kind of beat some of those wings.
I would definitely go 1. Well, not definitely. I would maybe go 1, but I'm not going 2, as you mentioned. I'm still trying to get that positional winner. Ian, how are you separating like the tier of quarterbacks after the big 4, the big 5, however you have them ranked?
I think Herbert deserves to be in there, man. I mean, what he did his first 2 years in the league was just so incredible. And, we tend to have these guys who are playing really hurt. We kind of give it a lot of thought the first couple of weeks it happens, but by 4 or 5 weeks we're on to bigger and better things. So that rib injury was no joke, and I don't think it's a coincidence. That's why that he averaged career low marks and everything rushing the ball. Keenan was out the entire first half of the season. Mike Williams was in and out of the lineup. I mean, even Jalen Guyton was gone. Like we talk about, Joe Lombardi, like why was his average target depth so low? Who is he supposed to throw the ball deep to? So hopefully we get maybe a Jalen Hyatt type out there to help stretch the field, because I do think with Kellen Moore coming over too, I get it. I saw the 49ers playoff games. The Cowboys offense has been number 1 scoring whenever Dak's been healthy over the past 3 years. So I think the Chargers are definitely a team to buy right now.
As we come back to our round trip at the start, where do you start looking if you begin elite quarterback in the top of drafts, Hayden?
Well, it's first pass catchers, and that's one advantage going Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen, is because if Diggs is going to be gone and you at least have a couple options with Philly. I'm fine with, is there any running backs available?
Bijan and Barkley.
I would go one of those two personally, but if you guys like wide receivers, I'm fine with it too.
We get the next 2 picks, so let's go CD right now.
Okay.
And I would lean Saquon.
Saquon's fine with me. Saquon and Bijan, same tier. So
okay. Yep. I have Chubb in that same tier as well.
Yeah, especially in like not the Superflex, the regular drafts that we're doing, the 2-3 turn is filled with absolute stud running backs. Like you can get like Nick Chubb in that range. Kenneth Walker, I think, is good. Breece Hall has a chance to be really good. Like the typical 2-3 running backs are looking very, very spicy this year.
In my opinion, when you talk about finding those round 2 and 3 running backs who could be the Saquon Barkley and Dalvin Cook of last year, where the first couple of months they were severely undervalued and everyone noticed it. And then when everyone jumped into the best ball mania, those were the running backs that got steamed immediately. In my opinion, those 2 guys are Tony Pollard and Nick Chubb. And I am more than willing to fight off any Bijan rumors for Tony Pollard, because I don't think he makes it out of the first 10 picks of the draft.
You said 10, John. If the Eagles take Bijan at pick 10, is he the first overall pick?
No, they don't catch enough passes.
Yeah.
Maybe yeah, probably not.
Although that penny money is literally penny. It's like
you guys hesitated for a second though. We're gonna start, we're gonna hear the splits when Elijah Mitchell is fully healthy. If Eckler does happen to get traded or just Kellen Moore not throwing enough. So we'll see. I do think it's it was a great article, Matthew Berry, 23 things he heard at the combine. And that note about, just Sirianni wanting to have the workhorse running back company, man. Yeah, you're right. But wanting to have that workhorse running back, more so using the committee because they just didn't think Miles Sanders could handle it. You can imagine, guys. Let's see what happens, huh?
Yeah, I think he's going to go to the Commanders.
My pick, from what I'm hearing, my early pick is Falcons at 8th overall. It seems like the Falcons are all the way in to their hide the quarterback, run the ball mantra.
It's the last thing they need. They have Algier and a fucking goat in CPAP, but okay.
They still have Ferkser on the team. So they have Ferkser, Michael Pruitt, and Jonnu, right? All from Arthur Smith's days. Plus like their 3 tight end ones and then Kyle Pitts behind them.
Yeah. Real quick, just looking at this team that's doing the 0 quarterback build, which a good way to lose $10 here is to miss out on all the quarterbacks, in my opinion, especially when you've drafted these wide receivers. So this guy is going to be banking on Justin Jefferson and Steph Diggs going off, but is going to be fading Josh Allen and Kirk Cousins being Superflex superstars in this week as well. So I think it's very tough to do. If I was going to do it with the wide receivers, I think like Cooper Kupp would make a little bit more sense here just because you can actually stack their quarterbacks late. So even though it's Superflex, stacking is still very key here. And I think that's one of the things that people are getting wrong in these drafts.
Cooper Kupp, my wide receiver 2 over Jamar Chase. Given that Kupp already didn't miss a beat last year when Stafford was healthy, over 100 yards in 5-6 games, averaged double-digit targets from Stafford. It was just the fact that Stafford only plays 6 games.
Mm-hmm. John, what are you doing in his one game with Wolford?
Probably ditching him.
Did he have a yard? Did he get over 0 yards? Oh, he was actually under that?
Not even Cooper Kupp is good enough to counter John Wolford under center. I forgot that we've had Wolford starts. We had who was the one guy? Bryce
Baker, baby. Yeah, we had the Bryce Perkins.
Yeah, we had 2 drives from Baker. We had 2 drives and the Christmas game that no one watched when the Broncos quit on Nathaniel Hackett. Those were Baker's 2 games.
Yep.
The best part is the Bucs not actually trying to tank. People think they're doing this strategically. They actually think they have a good roster, but they're going to get Caleb Williams anyways.
Yeah, that I've been trying to work out the mock draft stuff, and whenever I get to them, I just give them like fucking whoever. It doesn't really matter to me. I think the GM and the coach are acting like they're going to get fired unless they try to win this year, and they're not going to win this year. So they're in no man's land.
Those yards before contact, the negative yards before contact, the Bucs will be at the top with Chase Edmonds and Rachaad White every single week. It's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
I'm still not convinced Rachaad White's going to be there. Just like, no doubt starting running back.
Oh, no.
Was a team that should go try to add someone.
But it doesn't help that Chase Edmonds also, both of them finished bottom 10 and next gen stats rush yards over expected. They're both so bad. And
I do agree White looked a little more explosive than Fournette last year. I mean, who was going through the PCL thing, but that was what was always so weird to me about the free Rachaad White thing. Pollard and Khalil Herbert, okay, they had a lot better numbers than the starter. And last year, White and Fournette were just both terrible, honestly.
Yeah.
It's about to come back around to us. So now we have one player at every position except tight end, Hayden. What do you think is the pivot from here? Is there a certain position you want to start stacking?
I would look at running back and quarterback in particular here. I think we're fine on who are the quarterbacks just real quick, just to make sure we have some stacking options. I think Stroud is interesting here. Anthony Richardson, you can convince me on. I would pick one of these young quarterbacks and then a running back personally, but up to you guys.
Josh Allen and Richardson. Yes.
That's it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll start with Richardson, and then this is where the wide receiver tiers go after that. And then running backs, Najee and Dalvin and Aaron Jones were the next up.
Yeah, I would be canceled, but I would pick Najee personally.
Over Dalvin?
Yeah, no, I think the Steelers are going to upgrade the offensive line, and we should expect the entire offense just to get a little bit better. He still touched the ball a lot.
He was hurt for a bit last year, but they did use Warren more complimentary than we've seen in past years. So it's close though.
Sounds like a toss up. I am leaning Najee, if only because the Dalvin Cook rumors are still out there. June 1, still eyeing, since the team can save $10.5 million to cut him. The Alexander Madison contract was really strange considering it came late into the free agency market, and 2 years, $7.5 million. That's a lot for a backup, man, to bring him back. So still possible Cook is not on the team.
Yep.
Hey, my start in the next draft is Hurts, Eckler, AJ Brown.
Okay. That's really good.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Where are you drafting from?
102.
102. Okay.
Yeah, that might be my favorite draft spot right there. Hit the quarterbacks, and then I think my favorite draft strategy would be anchor quarterback, and then wait for kind of this tier to kind of fall off, and then draft about 3 or 4. I think I would draft 4 quarterbacks in most of these builds, but you want to play the bye weeks, the injuries and stuff. So I think having a good number 3 quarterback is a little bit underrated, and maybe your quarterback 2 doesn't matter as much.
Last year, remember, Najee was a first-round pick. That's when it was literally offensive to the game of fantasy football. This year, you get the discount. It's like DeAndre Swift. It's like Tony Pollard. You just take it's April. Like, take your discounts right now. We will get into the weeds on yelling about players in a few months. The offseason is very long, guys. Very long.
All these Steelers guys, though, they're getting dinged because of last year, not really looking ahead of their volume. Deontay's wide receiver 39 right now. Like, come on. Last year he didn't score a touchdown, and he was wide receiver 41.
It's annoying because Deontay's fantasy points, like per game, went down for a reason because Kenny Pickett is #not good. But at the same time, those targets and that touchdown regression, like, of course, we're all going to be running right back to them.
Nobody likes Najee Harris or Kenny Pickett. The odds that they are going too late are extremely high because nobody wants to click them. And young players linked together with an organization that historically wins, there is some upside whether you guys like it or not.
And like watching Pickett last year, I think maybe some of the hype was annoying because he would play not that great for 50 minutes and have like a good drive at the end. But
that last 5 games, yeah.
But we've for sure seen like way worse, like year 1 displays from rookie quarterback. I mean, like we just saw Trevor Lawrence look like absolutely nothing. And I know it's Urban Meyer, and now he's back on that generational trajectory and everything. So, I mean, look, we've seen guys like Goff and Mitchell Trubisky like still enable some wide receivers to have some great years. Like, could Pickett be that for a year? I don't see why not.
Tight ends right now, in my experience, are basically free in the last rounds. It's the forgotten position because everyone goes Travis Kelce in one of the first 2 rounds, and then everyone ignores it. So 4 tight ends, the last rounds, I still think a tremendous strategy. What other leaks are you seeing in Superflex drafts right now, Hayden?
Well, it's 20 rounds, so I think that going a 3rd and 4th tight end is basically a requirement. I would not do 2 tight end builds. We do get tight ends slightly more valuable just because we've chopped off one of the wide receiver spots and kind of the flex stuff works. Tight end, I think, gets a little bit better, but tight end doesn't matter in half PPR. So the only thing I'm doing in best ball is the quarterbacks that I draft, which I will be drafting the quarterbacks before the tight ends every single time. I will just draft their tight end when we get to their ADP. Simple as that.
Ian, I know you've probably eyed some shitty late round tight ends. We're gonna sell each other on all off season long. Who are you? Who are you right now seeing early in April that you consider a value?
Every year, man. Every freaking year. Gerald Everett, tight end 20, has always had good efficiency numbers. Last year, I mean, I know he was more of a middling tight end too, but goes for 100+ in the touchdown in the playoffs. Like, we've seen this dude have some serious highs just early on playing behind Higbee and stuff, never had the full-time role. So Everett now didn't have the full-time role in Los Angeles. We'd see Steven Anderson, Trey McKitty, Donald Parham kind of linking in. But hey, Kellen Moore, we could certainly see him suddenly use Everett in that full-time role that I think he would flourish in as Justin Herbert's tight end 1. So again, to have that guy going behind a freaking rookie and Michael Mayer, like Taysom Hill, I don't know what's going on Taysom Hill, but I'll say Gerald Everett and maybe my guy Irv Smith ready to get hurt again. Right now, it's mostly just Gerald Everett. Probably not Irv. Was 400,000 guaranteed? Jesus.
God, yeah. Jackson took Keenan Allen, which is unfortunate. Like, Keenan Allen, even in the big board, was going behind Christian Kirk and ADP, and it was offensive. It's like, what are we doing? Like, we have to stop aging out Keenan Allen when he's just good at the game. They're right now. Here are our top 2 pass casters: Christian Watson, Michael Pittman. If you see someone else, Terry McLaurin, Christian Kirk.
I like Terry. I think we should pick Michael Pittman just because I think the Colts are
I agree.
The favorite probably for Anthony Richardson.
I agree.
So
also,
let's
Michael
try
Pittman
that.
led the league in curl routes last year. That's not going to be the case under Shane Steichen. So we're going to get like literally an entirely new route tree for Pittman. Who knows if it's going to be good, but it has to be better than curl routes. I know that.
Maybe he could be like as good as, say, Terry McLaurin or Tyler Lockett. You never know.
Let's do Terry McLaurin here. I think this is by far the best quarterback he's ever had, by far, with Jacoby Brissett. I think Jacoby Brissett's going to start here, and
or Sam Howell. Calm down.
Or Sam Howell. But my point is we can draft either of them the next time we're up. So you can't stack Christian Watson anymore or Christian Kirk.
Let's do it.
We're also, I understand that target tree in Green Bay right now is questionable at best. They basically have one NFL player in Christian Watson and no one else. But it's still concerning that like Alan Lazard out-targeted Christian Watson per game from week 10 on. Like Lazard was out there earning targets. Christian Watson was still a better in best ball profile the rest of the year. So still questionable that everyone's chasing his touchdowns basically.
Yeah, he was dunking on me all last year. I think just to reiterate this point, if I was looking at the regular best ball drafts, like Best Ball Mania 3, for example, I think the percentage of teams that are stacking properly in that is much higher than the percentage of teams drafting these Superflex teams are stacking, because I think we're warping like how you are able to stack quarterbacks with wide receivers because we're drafting quarterbacks so high. I think that the one of the big edges here is to remain focused on the stacking component here, because I think people get sidetracked by the like volatility in these draft rooms, where the trends go, how high quarterbacks are going in your particular draft room, that our brains are too small to actually focus on the stacking side because we're so worried about the purple.
I've also been, I know this is Ian's favorite conversation ever, but in order to target weeks 15 through 17, I have, even without the schedule already, been stacking divisional opponents since they push all divisional games back to the end of the year. So I basically just target divisions.
How are you spending the penny's worth of EV that you're getting from that strategy?
I'm drinking a key lime sour with my best friends.
So. I mean, shouldn't last year have been like the nail in the coffin of the argument? Like we have no idea what's going to happen in 17 weeks. So I don't know.
No, actually, I think the opposite. Last year cemented it, because now we have 3 years in a row of the Best Ball Mania winner stacking week 17. Tyquan Thornton that went off
because the high scoring game got canceled 5 plays in, man. I mean, God bless the man. Rather be lucky than good, but
that's true too. That's true too. Yeah,
that's just my point.
Although we still don't know how that Bengals Bills game would have fared. We don't know if it would have been high scoring.
That was setting up to be 45.
It was about to get rocket.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Oh, I do.
And I was in row 5 on the 50 too.
I was in Cincinnati. Dale was in Cincinnati. I was about to say you could feel it in the air, but
I was in the stadium. No, I was there.
That's the one game you finally decided to go to. Jeez,
that is the one game I had free because it was week 17. And so no week 18 content, because who's writing week 18 content? It's the most useless stuff ever. So actually, friends from ESPN reached out and said, hey, we got these tickets. We can't use them because we're working the game. Do you want to go? Nice. And I ended up crying at the end of the night instead. That's the one time I went to football, Ian, that my emotions were hit the hardest they've ever been hit.
Unreal.
Tough.
Wow.
So very never tough. Again. Never go to football, children. That's the rule.
Nah, but on a serious note, just seeing the whole Best Ball Mania thing devolve like into, I mean, it really is just ends up being, the 1 week DFS tournament at the end of it. So all jokes aside, I get it. But to Hayden's point, it really is, just such a small factor. So I don't think you should be, going out of your way and reaching rounds to freaking do it. And my God, there's nothing worse to talk about on the podcast. So with that,
Ian got good news. What if perhaps this year there's less of a focus on week 17?
Hell yes. Someone knows something.
Oh,
hell yes.
My guy, Hayden. My guy.
I can't wait. I mean, I'm sure you heard Dabble. You're obviously not going to say it here. I can't wait till the prize money, though, because obviously Jeremy has to top it every year. So now we know it's going to be at least double 2 million. It has to be. So
I'll give one more hint. There's going to be a new style contest out there eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm very excited. I'm very excited for that one. But
sounds like we're in for a lot of different and unique best ball happy hours moving forward.
Yes. The big thing is like just changing the narrative of this thing. We can't let this thing go stale. If we're going to talk about the same things every year, that's not going to be because of us. We're going to try to change up the format a little bit.
Completely agree. And eventually you'll give Ian his contest where players don't get points for receptions, any at all. And also, Taysom Hill can't be tight end.
That's all I want in this world. Just, dude, the guy can't earn a starting spot in real life. Why do we give him one in fantasy? He should be a flex. That's it.
I think he should be a running back. He plays the most snaps at freaking running back.
And by the way, we've all seen this year's landscape of running backs. Taysom Hill's like RB10 right now. This year it is that's why you mentioned, Ian, reaching, like you don't want to reach on players. I would emphasize it even more this year because like grabbing a player between rounds at 8 and 13, they're the same player. Like these running backs this year are all just spot start guys who you're going to get like 4 starts out of and then hope for the best.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
David Montgomery is the biggest layup ever. Everyone is overthinking this.
Absolutely.
The man just got paid all of the money. There is zero evidence that DeAndre Swift is liked by this coaching staff. He got all the money. Even if DeAndre Swift was the one, David Montgomery's upside case via injury or just performance is through the roof. So to me, David Montgomery, we're overthinking this. Sort by money and then go from there.
I am 1,000% with you. It's every touch David Montgomery until he gets injured, which I'm okay to bet on. And then because we have Josh Allen, I think Gabe Davis here. But if you want to go a pass catcher to match with McLaurin,
I would go Gabe.
Ian, Gabe, okay, since we have Josh Allen.
Let's see the other one. Oh, yeah, we got Josh.
Oh, yeah, here, I can show you. I can show you, though. We're about this.
Oh, Mike Evans, I think interesting.
Deontay, man. But if we want to stack it with Josh, that's fine.
We're stacking in this case. All right, but now we have a conversation. So, Hayden, sell me on Mike Evans from Baker Mayfield because I'm completely out.
Well, there's 2 ways the Mike Evans stuff and Chris Godwin could go right. If one or the other gets traded. If Mike Evans gets traded, he's probably going to be to a better team. I think his ADP was go up. If Chris Godwin's the one that gets traded, then it's Mike Evans by himself on a team that's going to be really bad, and he's just going to get garbage time opportunities. So I think that the trade risk is up for both of them, and if either one happens, I think both would benefit.
And I say from Baker Mayfield, what I mean that's the small picture. Big picture is clearly the Bucs led the league in pass attempts per game the last 2 years. That's not going to happen under Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. So we're losing league high volume and getting significantly more inefficient. That's my argument.
Sure.
Ian,
that's why neither guy's even in the top 30 right now, even though they've both been top 16 per game the past 4 freaking years. So even last year, I mean, okay, you can say take away Mike Evans' huge game and he'd be bad. Like, okay, let's not do that with all these guys. I mean, there's a lot of signs, guys. This could be this year's version of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Who's the new offensive coordinator? Oh shit, it was Geno Smith's QB coach last year. So look, I know Baker Mayfield has spent the better part of the last 2 years being bad, but you know, the guy set the rookie record for passing touchdowns before Herbert broke it, got Cleveland their first playoff win since 94. So, you know, I've been wrong in thinking Baker was going to be better than he is. So I don't want to let that, you know, completely ruin it. But at a certain point, like these really freaking good. I mean, okay, we always say Baker's never enabled anyone. I mean, Jarvis did have 2 top 25 finishes. And even the first Beckham year, like he finished wide receiver 33. You drafted him top 10, so you weren't happy about it. But I just think it's a situation where we have really freaking good wide receivers priced behind guys that are not as good as them, but there's some better situations. So gotta give some credit to the wide receiver talent sometimes.
But you said you have Deontay over Mike Evans.
Yes, by a couple spots.
I believe you wanted to pick Deontay in this tier.
I had Deontay as my wide receiver 26. I got Evans and Godwin 29, 30.
Okay. Because that's what it came down to. And again, you know, player talk in this range, it's like, okay, we're just taking these guys right now. We have Josh Allen. That makes the most sense. We have Terry McLaurin. So unless we get sniped, we're kind of looking at stacking there as our QB3. Also, Hayden, since if you start elite quarterback, one of the big 4 or 5, then how many quarterbacks at the end do you want? Is it okay to have 3 or do you still want 4?
I want 4 unless I go quarterback start.
Okay. That's good to know.
Especially if Anthony Richardson there's a chance that he misses the first, I don't know, month or 2 of the season just in development zone. Yeah. I think that we want this. And especially if we can stack them up, like I think we will be able to here. So stacking them up and like basically just run the numbers. Like, is the wide receiver 9 that you're about to select to fill 2 wide receiver spots going to be project better than a quarterback filling that super flex spot in like round 18 and stuff? Like, I think that's where the math just never checks out.
And I think we're getting, whether it's Anthony Richardson, whether it's quarterback or not, I think we're getting at least 8 starts out of Gardner Minshew, obviously familiar with Steichen's system. So I drafted him in the big board, and I'll continue drafting him in these super flex drafts as a QB4 for sure.
Who? Sorry, missed it.
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew.
I think that even going Minshew with Richardson together isn't the worst thing.
Sure.
If you're playing for the upside in the finals, for Anthony Richardson. But if you can get a couple usable weeks out of Gardner Minshew in round 18, I don't think that combination isn't that bad.
And then we can throw a dart that won't go anywhere on Jelani Woods. So this is great. Good start. Ian, what is the drink of choice right now?
I'm just going Gatorade, being lame right now.
That is lame.
I know. I'm trying to, be less of an alcoholic these days, but still a great day to be great either way. Late round QBs, guys, with that. I mean, oh God. I guess Minshew is the cheapest we can go. What about Sam Darnold, Hayden? I know you and Josh have had thoughts on this.
I would for sure have Jacoby Brissett. I think Jacoby Brissett's going to start more games than Sam Howell. I think he's just way better. And you went in the 5th round, guys. Like, how often do you see 5th round guys?
Said Darnold.
Yeah. But
okay,
here, I would just say Jacoby here. Darnold, I think one of these guys is getting traded. I still think it could just be Sam Darnold after he competes, maybe starts a game or so. But I think he's a fine dart throw late. I don't think we have to do it quite yet, though.
Oh, completely agree. I think Darnold, given the entire situation, is still probably the best value of the 3. Like 5th round Trey Lance, I don't think all the hills he has to climb, one being good at professional football, like are baked into the ADP at all. So I'll gladly take the guy who we expect to maybe start a handful of games.
Is that just settled after the 50 passes he's made?
Nothing settled, but it's baked into the ADP. It's 5th round.
Yeah.
And like, that's just one hill. He has 3. You still got to start and you still got to be healthy. Like, those are 3 big things right there.
All right. Who are we taking?
So we still don't even have to take Jacoby Brissett. It seems like his ADP is way down. And
that's true.
We already have Terry McLaurin. So is there any tight ends available right now like that we like? No.
Schultz, not. We'd have Knox for stacking purposes. That's a round later, though.
All right, quickly, we have 5 seconds. I'd just find a wide receiver or running back.
Oh, God.
Elijah Moore would be good.
Oh, well, we got Schultz. That's okay. It's fine.
I like Elijah Moore.
Want Elijah Moore?
Ian, what do you think about Elijah?
What did he finish in yards per out run last year? Dead last? Was that it? Fuck. Yeah, at this point, though, I would probably still lean Bateman. I mean, look at the Ravens do this every year. Then they just, hope we're a number 1 wide receiver.
Elijah Moore or Bateman? Goodness gracious.
Gracious.
I'll at least go the presumed wide receiver.
Oh, there we go.
At least. Mm-hmm. I don't mind Moore. It's still a little bit early. So Hayden, you're basically assuming he takes away from Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is good at his role. His role is not high volume. Elijah Moore, I thought, was a really good prospect. Got that really good rookie year. We know that Zach Wilson absolutely stinks. I also I hate to be this guy, but just talking about teams that have just right tail upside, the Browns. I mean, they've got a great offensive line. Now they have good pass catchers. Kevin Stefanski's been the coach of the year, and Deshaun Watson's been an MVP candidate. It was horrific last year, but that's kind of where his price is relatively at. If he was a top 3 in all these passing numbers, I wouldn't be stunned. So
he was literally bottom 3 in all the numbers last year. It wasn't even like he was average or it was Russell Wilson levels bad, honestly. And I think we're giving Watson way more benefit of the doubt. So obviously with everything going on, makes sense. And some of those weather games, I mean, the Saints game, I think they dropped 3 touchdowns out there. But even when you do add some of the context, CPOE, EPA, and whatever, still telling you he was really bad. So
he was.
But to Hayden's point, if it does work out, I mean, especially behind even Amari Cooper is pretty affordable. So taking shots on the other guys, I don't hate it. Is David Bell just a complete non-factor? Because I guess all right, easy enough. But I guess my thing with Elijah Moore is just that trade. He seemed like a throw-in, and I get it. We can look at the 6-game stretch from 2021, but I'm not convinced he's going to be this starting guy. So top 50 pick.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like David Bell was a complete throw-in for me last year even. I don't think I had any amount of him.
David Bell runs a 4.8 as a slot receiver.
Well, they drafted him in the 3rd round. They just spent a hell of a lot less on a 3rd rounder to get
they read too many RotoViz articles on David Bell. And
I'm just saying, we just saw a Jets team go completely against what we all thought Elijah Moore should start, and he did. He losing snaps to Jeff freaking Smith out there. And the Browns might just value David Bell. I'm not saying you're wrong on the talent of Elijah Moore, but we can be right and wrong in fantasy if the coaching staff disagrees. So I'm just not sold on that.
All right. I just found my team preview sentence for David Bell last year. Bell averaged a career 101.2 receiving yards per game, the most among all active FBS players last season, but displayed underwhelming speed, 4.65 40, and failed the test in the 30th percentile of all jumping drills in Indianapolis. There you go.
Devontae
Nothing
Adams,
exciting.
though, bro.
No, Devontae, that's the comp, the usual comp. Hall of Famer comp.
That's what killed me last year when people were unironically saying that, and then they're like, "Yeah, David Bell, wide receiver 7." It's like, well, hold on now.
Yeah.
I believe in my team preview also, because since Sky Moore got the Cortland Sutton and who was that other Power 5 receiver to get drafted early declare? Can't remember, but he got those comps, and it's like, well, he's also just a MAC receiver who barely did anything against Power 5, so who cares?
You guys drinking the Rashad Penny Kool-Aid, or is this Hayden's Trey Sermon hour?
Hey, Trey Sermon's making more money than a lot of these guys on this roster. I'm saying that. Do you see that
Trey
quote?
Sermon.
You see that quote? Yeah, I think
The contract's scary. The contract is concerning because it's literally a prove you're healthy deal, and taking $1.5 million basically tells you that he didn't get anything anywhere else.
Yeah, my only counter to that would be the Eagles weren't going to pay anyone that. So whoever's going to be the starting running back for the Eagles was going to be in this boat. So it's just a bet on talent. Do you think Rashad Penny is going to be better than the round 5 running back that they're going to bring in? I'm going to guess yes, if he's healthy.
I also saw Rich Rebar tweet today that Eagles led the league in shotgun carries last year, and Rashad Penny averaged 7 yards per carry from shotgun last season.
He's crazy good, man.
Some more sex on top of Rashad Penny's ADP.
The only problem with it, and again, as long as he stays outside the top 30-ish, I mean, I just saw him going right now around Connor and Kamara, which, that's reasonable. But like, I don't want to make a habit of targeting that Miles Sanders, Jamal Williams role. I mean, we are in half here, so it's a little better, but it's just wild when you look at someone like Jamal Williams scores 17 touchdowns in full PPR, and he's like the running back 17 per game. So when you're not catching passes in an offense like that, just be careful about, crowning his ass, putting him top 15.
We'll definitely go Brissett. It's about that time to get our QB3. Is there anyone else that stands out? So
I like Elijah Mitchell.
You like Elijah Mitchell over Gainwell, thinking
Yes.
it's a committee. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think Gainwell's ever going to be that guy.
These are the available wide receivers. If you're looking, not
I think we're good on
special.
receivers. We have 5 decent ones for only 2, maybe 3 per week. I think that we should bet on some of these running backs.
And I believe the goal for Superflex is to start 2 receivers. Like, we actually don't want a receiver in our flex. We're still trying to start quarterbacks in our flex. Hey, Ian, then you're good with Elijah over these guys?
Yeah, that's fine. I wish I had a better feel on. I feel like Jeff Wilson should be the front runner in Miami.
They did split carries towards the end of the year when both came back.
Well,
You got more money.
Most are immediately.
You get a lot more money.
Like, we had one game where Mostert wasn't popping back on the injury report, which, like, I don't know. They were using him on kick returns all year. So I have no idea what their plan of attack is with keeping Mostert healthy. So, I never want to say that anyone's injury prone. My God, I was, Hayden was on Trey Sermon 2 years ago. I was on Mostert, and we were both wrong. That was freaking sick. But, Elijah Mitchell stand up. So we got the guy eventually. Yeah.
I think you're going to draft somebody.
Probably.
If they get like A-Chain or something in round 3 or Gibbs in round 2, I think like that's
There was
That's
so
what
much
it's gonna be.
promise. All of them are free agents, and they just have brought back everyone so far. So, I mean, yeah, that'd be sick if they brought in someone. I mean, dude, can Kareem Hunt go somewhere? I understand last year was bad, but it's not like he's gotten completely overwhelmed with carries. Like, it wouldn't be the first time we saw a really good RB have a slightly down year before getting back going. I mean, there's a reason why no one was completely freaking out about Nick Chubb not getting enough touches over the previous years. That's because Kareem Hunt was, just every bit as good almost, and even better as a pass catcher. So I would love to see Kareem go to Miami or the Rams, man, because I don't want to do this again with Cam Akers. We're looking at the depth chart. You look at his last 5 weeks of last season. I don't want to get hurt again. I just want Sean McVay to crown someone as his new Todd Gurley, new feature back. We can put him back in the top 10 and move on.
I'm thinking that there's a bunch of teams that have Kareem Hunt on the can't bring him in plan, like just from his history. And I think that's probably why he's not going to get it, but he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt after last year. That's why I think he's probably going.
I guess the last 2 years too, he never really had a chance to showcase in Cleveland. So they don't have like a ton of film on him as the historical world eater that he was coming out of college.
Dude,
What about
Latavius Murray is still getting freaking 100+ touches a year. Kareem Hunt's 27. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Coaches love Latavius Murray, man. They'll never stop using him. He'll find a job. He'll make starts.
What about combining these two ideas? Dalvin Cook, you said post June 1. And then all of a sudden, the Miami, they skipped out on the running back, so they don't have all of their draft
They
picks.
called about him too. They tried to trade for him, and apparently the request was too high. So that's when they signed, as Ian noted, within an hour of each other, both Mostert and Jeff Wilson.
June 2nd, Miami Dolphin, Dalvin Cook. Clip it for later.
Let's do it. Draft night, Lamar to Miami, and then add Devin A-Chain. Let's just get it all going. Just make the Madden offense you always dream of.
So do you have to actually do the trades post June 1st for that to kick in? Because I always see these guys, like Zeke gets cut, but it's designated June 1st, even though they did it in March. So the trades, you do have to actually wait until June 1st.
The trades, you have to do it. You get 2 designated post June 1st cuts or like retirement where you can kick it back. So you get 2 of those per year. But the trades, if you're actually going to do it, has to come after.
Okay.
The real post June 1 news we need to talk about is, as we are all ex-Roto-Worlders, the fact that the 90-man roster goes until literally the last day of preseason. So no cut downs, 90 men on the roster for 6 consecutive weeks throughout the preseason. What a hellhole. Like it's going to end preseason DFS too. Like preseason DFS is going to be useless because imagine sorting through 53-man rosters like out of the same guys. What a disaster.
Yep.
So yeah, cut down day. RotoPad, if you're listening, all you, buddy. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for doing that for us.
You and Denny, thank you. Both of you. All right, round 14. We have 20 to go. Let's look at our structure here. 3 QBs. We'll add a 4th. We are content at wide receiver unless someone stands out. We definitely need at least 2 more tight ends, at least.
Yep.
And we'll add some running backs as well.
There's a bunch of rookie running backs, I think, go way too late that we can probably wait around. Is there any quarterback? Let's fire this quarterback. Let's see if there's any quarterbacks that we can actually stomach as our 4. Minshew, I think, would be interesting.
A Hooker,
I think, is interesting as well. Sam Darnold, you guys mentioned.
I think Mike White and Sam Darnold, like that's kind of where it stops for me.
Pro Bowl QB Tyler Huntley.
Yes, them too.
Even above ADP, like, well, with the other options, are we comfortable just missing out on Minshew or do we want to add him here?
Who's the tight ends? I'm queue up Minshew.
Everett.
Mayor Everett too. Let's go one of those 2.
Everett.
I like Gesicki. Kind of. Not really. I take that back.
Everett. Everett. And then there are
I've always liked Gesicki, but you never know if he's gonna get those roles. And like Hunter Henry's way too sound to maybe they just play him as big slot, but
what about Chark?
Yeah.
You guys, I'm good with Chark and then being done at wide receiver.
Honestly, both Chark and Thielen at those prices are fine. I'm cool with either.
Same with Pierce. Alec Pierce would be part of the stack if we want to do that. The odds Anthony Richardson is keeping 2 wide receivers fantasy viable has got to be 0.1%, but that's how you win these damn things.
We'll be there if he does.
Yeah.
Have you parsed Adam Thielen and DJ Chark, Ian? Like, do you have a strong lean one way or the other?
I have them right next to each other, and I think that's kind of reflected. But the thing is, like, even once, neither of them I think are going to be like that lowly. But this kind of happens in situations where the Giants are another one, the Patriots kind of every year, even though Juju is sort of getting that treatment now, where you have these offenses where the upside isn't huge and there's not that definitive number 1, but because of that uncertainty, like Thielen and Chark, if we knew for sure who is the number 1, number 2, like I just think they'd both be higher than they even are ranked right now. So I'm fine throwing some darts over there. I don't think it's going to be a huge boom, but they can beat, wide receiver 60 ADP.
Yep. As Reed mentioned, yes, 2 flex spots. So I should have emphasize my first statement harder, and that's that you don't want to be in a position, in my opinion, to flex wide receivers. You want to always start 2 wide receivers. So that's why I also, at the back end of first rounds, as we mentioned, stacking wide receivers, trying to get like the wide receiver 1 and 2 off the board, as opposed to chasing at quarterback.
Yeah, I think people draft too many wide receivers. So it's fine to take them early, but stop taking them.
How many total generally, Hayden, if you do load up early?
If you really load up 5, I think most builds I'm fine with like 6 or 7. But when I see people doing 8, 9 wide receivers for at most 3 spots, the math is impossible to work. And especially because it doesn't reflect like the ADPs of the wide receivers late are still high, like from the regular big board. They don't tail off because people aren't thinking through this. So like some of these picks will be some of the worst picks that you could possibly make.
Trying to complete my Jacoby McLaurin Curtis Samuel stack over here. Don't mind me.
Well, we could actually complete that too if you wanted to. Hayden, it's your time to shine. Running back 2 through 4 behind Bijan. Rookie running back.
Yeah. I go Charbonnet 2, which is like kind of my bold take. Then Jahmyr Gibbs 3. Then it's a big tiered break for me. And then I'm going these 3. And these are like the 3 guys I want from running backs. I want Dwayne McBride. I want Roshan Johnson. I want Kendra Miller. They are 215 pounds-ish about. And I think that they have like round 3, round 4 draft capital. That's how you find sleepers, Tyler Algiers, Brian Robinson, those types of backs. They don't weigh 180 pounds. That's like the big difference between those guys.
Sure. As every running back and wide receiver, except Quentin Johnson, who can't catch the ball, are Mickey Mouse players.
It's true.
That was startling to me, just going through some of the draft guides, and I can get to running back, and it's just, oh, this sounds good. This sounds good. How much does he weigh? Oh, 180 pounds. Okay, sick.
It's ridiculous. But people don't actually make the adjustments. They still are just like love the highlight tape and they still rank him high. It's like, okay.
They just say XX is that dude and then just tweet it out. It's like, no, he's not. He's like 150 pounds. He's not that dude.
The other thing about Kendra Miller and Dwayne McBride is they both are battling like a soft tissue injury right now. Or a knee injury. So they're not testing. So they're not going to get any hype throughout this process. There's not going to be a single person tweeting about Dwayne McBride or Kendrick Miller until we come to the preseason. So those are going to be 2 guys that I'd be very overweight on just because.
I got quite a bit of both of those in particular in the big board. Evan Hull was sometimes there in the 18th round, the last round. So I'd take him for the hell of it. But yeah, Dwayne McBride and Kendrick Miller for sure were 2 of my highest roster players. And
the spreadsheet virgins are going to hate Dwayne McBride because he caught like 2 passes, but he's an early declare, like ran for like 1,700 yards, was one of the leaders in broken tackle rates, and is a good kid.
I believe he led this class in rate of 10-yard runs last year. Like he's just does nothing but explode for long runs.
Yeah, he's a beast, man.
All right. No Gardner Minshew, but we still have the quarterbacks there. Yeah. These are our tight ends.
Kincaid.
Available.
I like Kincaid.
Will definitely be a first-round player.
Sure. He's supposed to be the receiving guy. I like him.
Jeremiah's number 1 overall tight end in every top 50 rankings.
What quarterbacks do we have? Any stacks?
We need one more quarterback.
I don't know. I think Logan Thomas could get cut. Like, who is hopefully Kincaid ends up on Washington, I guess.
It's possible, certainly.
It's possible.
Yeah. I would just take a chance on Darnold here. We don't really have a stack, but that's fine.
I'll go Hooker, possibly 2. Either one's fine with me. I don't really
Hooker
care.
or Darnold, Ian?
Let's go Hooker.
Yeah.
There's some
better night.
There's some I still think it's fake, but there's definitely some top 7 rumors out there.
What if he just goes to Tampa and it's like F off Baker and have fun throwing to Evans and Goblin?
Have fun watching Hooker throw is still what I worry about, but yeah.
Oh, he's better than that. He gets roasted in these draft things, and I can't believe it.
I know Leftwich left, but Hooker I haven't watched, gone back and watched a ton of these prospects, but just from watching him this past football season, kind of gets some of that, Byron Leftwich vibe to him. So I know a terrible lasting memory from what he exactly orchestrated last year, but I don't know, man. Again, with those, I have a landing spots article going up over at fantasylife.com next week. And the top 2 for me are Washington and Tampa Bay pretty easily compared to everywhere else. And it's unfortunate they're not necessarily going to take one of these quarterbacks, but those are the only 2 spots with a legit wide receiver room on both accounts.
I still worry, Hayden. It's just the transition to an NFL offense for Hooker more than anything. And to already be, in my opinion, fighting uphill with the age and injury recovery from November, it just seems like a lot, man. Seems like a whole.
You only named 3 big things there. I mean,
I will say, Daniel Jeremiah said if he didn't have a torn ACL, he would be a first-round pick, and that matters to me.
I think I can believe that.
Because he's still expected to be ready for training camp. People always say when they talk about this torn ACL, as if he got amputated. He tore his ACL in the middle of last season. He's a quarterback. There's a chance he's said he's expected to be ready for training camp. So I miss me with the assumption that he's going to miss this entire rookie season and not going to be adding anything. He'll probably be a backup, but we'll see.
I could see the Lions being involved if he wasn't injured. And honestly, maybe if he is injured, who knows? Yeah,
but maybe it's early 2nd round pick, and then you get Hooker there. It's fine with me.
Hey, I don't want to, hate on everyone's favorite dark horse team, but what if the Lions are in the top 5 offense again? That kind of came out of nowhere last year. I like their weapons, but I don't think, if you put that graphic out, like who's stopping this offense? Yeah, we like the sun god, Jameson. Hopefully he's healthy and doing those things. Josh Reynolds, a bunch of tight ends, DeAndre Swift, Dave Montgomery. They made it work last year. All power to them. But like we've seen Goff be really freaking good and then not so good. I do think there's maybe a little too much optimism with the Lions. Like if we were going to look at the top 10 scoring offenses from last year, Chiefs, Eagles, Cowboys, Bills, Lions, 49ers, Vikings, Bengals, Seahawks, Jaguars. Like, I don't know if I had to guess for one of them to really take a step back, it'd be Detroit.
Their defense is going to be way better this year. I will say that.
It's not going to help the offense, but
yeah,
I think a big argument for Detroit though is their division. The Vikings winning 13 games all by one score, not going to happen again. Moving down to Jordan Love for the Packers, and then the Bears technically had the number 1 overall pick, so we don't think they're contenders.
I think there would be a good team, but I think I am with Ian to some degree that the volume and in just the total offensive numbers could go down because the team is better, the defense is better, the division across from them is just worse in general. So there's some downside risk.
The Lions and the Seahawks of that group, the two teams that again they did some really good things on offense, but for ranking those quarterbacks, they're going to be towards the bottom of that list, and they really benefited from having absolutely terrible defenses out there.
Yeah,
the Seahawks they're so much fun because they are kind of like the poor man's Eagles. Like they already have the roster in place, and they have 5 picks in the first 81, I believe it is. And
all defensive players. Let's get going.
And they drafted starters beyond the first round last year. So I have all the faith in the world of them analyzing the right talent. So yeah, man, the Seahawks are sneaky out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Those first 8 games, Geno before the bye, whenever he was injured and turning the ball over a lot, I know it boomed very in a hurry. But man, those first 8 games when Geno was legitimately a first quarter MVP was fun. It was fucking fun.
Yeah, I don't think the Seahawks are going to be drafting a rookie quarterback in the first round because they signed Drew Lock for $4 million, which is a lot of money for a backup.
1 year, yeah.
Deserves it.
Geno Smith got he has $11 million in guaranteed for next season. They divided his guaranteed money, so some of it goes into next year. And they have a 71-year-old coach. We forget about this. What if Pete Carroll says, I want to win this damn thing now. I don't have time to develop Anthony Richardson. I'm not going to be here.
I don't know, but they are clearly doing extensive work on all the quarterbacks available.
For sure.
They're dabbling in their studies for sure. But when push comes to shove and Jalen Carter's there, whenever Nolan Smith is there, we'll see what they actually end up doing.
I agree with that. Here, I'll put it this way. If I have to study these quarterbacks, I hope the team with the 5th overall pick is also studying these quarterbacks. So I don't think that means that they're actually going to do it.
I bet the Seahawks have done more work than the Colts, honestly.
Wow, you are really against the Colts getting one of these rookies. Who the hell is going to be starting? You think Minshew's getting 17?
I still think there's a chance it's Minshew and a veteran. Now, who that veteran is, I don't know. I think there are just a lot of possibilities on the table for the draft.
I wonder if it's Trey Lance for a 3rd-round pick or something like that.
Give him Levis, and I'm just tired of the freaking Colts. Every year, 5 straight years, we had to put up with all this preseason hype and just nothing.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take Darnold off our board. So we have 3 tight ends, probably need a 4th. We have 6 wide receivers, including 3 with our stacks. That's good. And 4 RBs.
I think we can go best player available, whoever we think we just like. Is there any of these rookie running backs we talked about that are available?
I am in on CEH. I understand it's
McBride would be
ugly.
Mine.
I'm in CEH, the Q. Jerome Ford, Q.
I don't know who it's going to be as the Patriots RB2, but I am not treating Ramondre Stevenson like a top 10 pick, top 10 RB.
They'll probably draft someone, honestly.
Yeah.
I do have some Pierre Strong RB6s in the big board, but he's not going to do anything. Even I know that.
I think Stevenson will be the guy to own, but even then, I just see.
I think this is time for a rookie, Hayden. Favorite rookie?
It was McBride. You can take CH if you want. Is there any wide receivers that we like? Usually they're really bad at this point. Yeah, it's tough.
Tillman.
Hardy.
Tillman.
Hardy.
Yeah, we can stack him with Hardy. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah. Okay. Look at that.
Hardy is going to be the biggest Isaiah McKenzie guy you've ever seen in your life. Like here comes that fourth wide receiver, and he busts one play for a first down, and everyone clips it, and then it just poisons me.
Earmuffs Daigle. I think Hardy can do way more than McKenzie out there potentially. It's
so
weird,
too.
man, because
McKenzie's with the Colts. Remember,
Yeah.
he got signed by the Colts. Yeah.
Yep.
no, I just know you've always liked McKenzie Daigle, but
I still like McKenzie.
but with Hardy and Shaheed, I mean, if you've been doing these studies the last 2 years with, only like a, 25 target qualifier, like under 50, you just see these dudes popping up out of nowhere. And I would call it fluky, but when you go back and look at their plays, man, I just do think those guys can offer you a lot more than just being the gadget guy. So worst case, it is a gadget guy and a really good offense, but man, I'd like to see the Bills, invest a little, I get it. Second ranked scoring offense, over the last 3 years. So they're doing just fine. But, if they're not going to add this big time number 2 opposite of Diggs, then why not Hardy?
My worst take of the offseason is waiting on these touchdown leader markets, because I think there's a chance Damian Harris could lead the league in rushing touchdowns. And I'm going to be targeting it like we did with Jamal Williams, like Evan did with Jamal Williams last year, for sure, especially after that news that, they could pull the leash back a little bit on Josh Allen running the ball. I don't think they'll do it between the 20s, but like the Chiefs, Travis Kelce even noted in the Kelce podcast, like that's the reason Mahomes doesn't run inside the 5. Andy Reid doesn't let him, because when he broke his kneecap, they had to change their plans because they can't win without Mahomes. So I really think there's a chance inside the 5. Yeah, like Josh Allen just doesn't run the ball anymore.
I like it. Damian's good. That's my take.
Damian is good.
Mm-hmm.
And James Cook, we're still questioning.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's RB 40 plus, okay, like that's kind of where Jamal Williams ended up going last year. It's just this Bills offense it's been good for everyone except those RBs. So I wish James Cook would actually get a chance, man. The dude averaged more yards per carry than anyone other than Breece Hall. And it's like, all right, I get it. He wasn't facing these 8-man boxes, but maybe you shouldn't be running the ball, when you're not, unless you're facing a lighter box. So yeah, we all saw the first career fumble on his first career touch. Guess how many fumbles he had after that? Absolutely 0. So use the second round draft capital on the guys. Like you traded for Naeem Hines. Like what are they been waiting for with this scat back? And then they go get Damian Harris. So I guess
a scat back after they don't target their running backs at all. That's the worst part about it. It's like Josh Allen's not checking out of these guys. Like why even care about this position?
Mm-hmm.
Get your Deontay Hardy, a guy who
Thank you.
last year, not 2 years ago, last year he was injured. 2 years ago, 41% of his catches went for 10 plus yards. Get him some catches underneath on crossing routes. Send his ass upfield instead.
I like it.
Bills have had no yak, man. That's why he's not going to fall that far. But like Jackson Smith and Jigba in Buffalo, he'd be great in every offense. But that's been the only thing missing from the offense. I mean, Diggs can get some yak, but that's not exactly the thing he does best. Gabe Davis, nothing. I think Gabe will be a little bit better, not playing through the high ankle sprain. I mean, credit to him for doing that. But yeah, getting Hardy in there, I don't know. You guys didn't on Khalil Shakur. It's such a weird segment of our fantasy industry. I love that dude.
I would have been until they got Hardy, but I'm with you. Hardy's so explosive. Khalil Shakur, I think, was trying to be like some function of like a Cole Beasley, like a slower slot type. But I think they're still in the mix for first round receiver. Like Jalen Hyatt, Zay Flowers, one of those guys is around. I think they can go down that route.
And Jigba's going to go to the Giants just to give him 7 slot receivers to choose from. And down.
Just stack them all in the slot every play.
Yep.
The way they built, knowing at the combine that all they talked about was Joe Shane just kept on coming out and saying, we're adding receivers to this room. And then to only go out and get slot receivers was the oddest thing, which is why Darren Waller is my tight end too.
Wow.
But you got to stay healthy. You
don't even need to have him that high, but I mean, I'm with you. I have him in that tier.
You don't have to draft him that high, but I want to rank him that high.
No, that's fair. I have 6th with same tier as Goddard, Kittle, Mark, and Hawk.
Oh, you should have him in the second tier.
I mean, that is the second tier. I think it's
okay, yeah. That's fair. Yeah, they're all the same guy. That's fair.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you.
Hawkins said, I knew it was going to happen after last year's volume. And yes, there is more opportunity there after Adam Thielen was cut. So maybe it doesn't matter anyways, but he just had the one game against the Giants. Other than that, he was still a floor play. Like he's not worth chasing.
He had a 10 for $129 in the wild card. I mean, he was on pace for his 17 game pace was 163 targets, man. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah. You got to pay for it though. That's the thing.
Yeah. I'm not wrong.
At the worst position ever.
No, I agree. I think, if you want to get your Kelsey early on, it is easy to wait until forever. And then we get 3 guys that inevitably don't work out. But if you do want to dip your toes into that, next group, I do think Waller is for sure the guy.
All right. 5 RBs. Oh, no. Well, we have 3 tight ends, though. None good. So we should probably close it down here. You got Albert.
I'm fine with Laporta, Musgrave, or Henry here. I think Zamir White is still somewhat interesting for running back. He did nothing last year, but that's because Josh Jacobs was an absolute machine. Is Jacobs going to do that again? I don't know. Who else is going to split carries with Zamir White? I think that he has some upside. He's like a big guy.
Well, if Jacobs got hurt, I think we would expect Zamir White to be.
The question is, are you comfortable? Are you comfortable with
handcuffed.
Schultz, Everett, and Kincaid? That's the question.
I am.
Okay.
I don't feel good, but yeah, fuck it.
I mean,
tight end just doesn't matter.
Leading the league in touches
doesn't fucking matter. He was winning a tournament because of tight end. Get out of here.
Now.
It's so ridiculous.
As someone who's on the Jacobs fade, given that he, led the league in touches, of course, yeah, let's do it.
Those studies are full of shit. Come on.
I'm not.
It's always
it's
always like regular season carries, and they don't count receptions, and then it's just like we're talking about guys from like the early 2000s and stuff too. Like, I don't know.
All right, let's pull this up for everyone really quick.
I like this build. This is a good one.
I like your flow, Hayden. My goodness, I didn't notice that until now.
Yeah, it's getting nasty.
You do need to clean it up a little bit, but it is good. All right. From the Influencer 101, Josh Allen to start off. And we all have Jalen Hurts 101, but since you can't get Josh Allen usually at 102, just building the exposure with Allen early, knowing I'll land some drafts with Hurts, no big deal. Then building from here, Jalen Hurts also good, as Ian noted in his other draft, because you can go Hurts, A.J. Brown, and then an RB or even Devontae Smith if you want the double stack at the beginning, which gives Hurts an advantage. With an elite quarterback, still grabbed another high upside quarterback in the 4th round. Waited later then to add our QB 3 and 4, because even with an elite quarterback, we still want to have 4 quarterbacks on our roster. And then from there, receivers, we're basically just stacking with one another, taking running back values wherever we perceive them to be. And then 3 tight ends, even though 4 tight end was also an option, but we went Zamir White instead. How's it look, boys?
I liked it.
First Superflex. Now I'm about to finish my second one. Yeah, it's a fun format, man. It's I've only done Superflex before, mostly in Dynasty League, so it's nice being able to learn a little bit better with that. We were talking about not going 0 RBs or 0 QB in this, and yeah, had to learn that. Daigle and I actually had to learn that the hard way a couple years ago. But damn it, man, we're back in the contention, Daigle.
Also, Hayden, before we get out of here, for the next few shows before the draft of the Best Ball Happy Hour, are we expecting to do Superflex, or are there going to be any other options dropping ahead of April 27th? And if not, that's okay.
I can truthfully say I don't know. I think if Superflex did fill, I would guess we would just do it again. For the people that complain about the Superflex stuff is like, yes, it's not like my favorite format, but if we did the same draft starting from now all the way to September, we would lose our mind. So
I was already bored of the big board. I was already tired of it.
Every single time we drop something that's not like that, cherish it, because we have plenty of time to draft normal stuff. Take advantage of this. Open up your mind a little bit.
The offseason is so long. There is no need for these 5 players, bro, the offseason is long. We're going to be okay. Don't worry. We're going to get there.
Yep.
All right, boys. Ian, you're in a new spot than last year. We talked about it a little bit, but go ahead and tell everyone.
FantasyLife.com. We have a newsletter that is absolutely free. Articles also free. Great day to be great. Fantasy Life podcast. Yeah, good hanging out with you boys again. This is what year? We did a good job last year. I know we've gotten some things cut off, but good to be doing this again with you guys. It helps helps hearing Hayden and John say some really smart things. I just get to repeat on my own podcast. So yeah, Fantasy Life podcast. Check it out.
Yet to be cut off at 4 for 4. We haven't challenged that yet.
True.
Cut off at other companies, though. And then Hayden, where can everyone find your work on rookies right now?
Yeah, so all written work, if anyone still remembers how to read, is on underdognetwork.com. For those that have forgotten it, you can scroll over to YouTube. We have a bunch of videos. We just debuted our first mock draft with Josh Norris, but in the meantime, we're doing prospect videos galore. So we're watching some tape over there.
Best ball article roundtable on the site between the entire 4-4 staff and my first mock draft, 1 of 2, as Ian always calls me, Johnny 2 Mocks, will be out on Monday. So until then, be a little bit kinder than what's required. We'll see you next time.